Hey everybody, it's me, Stuart. Today we're going to read a story called The Pied Piper of Hamelin. Sounds like fun. Let's see what it's about. Here we go. In the year 1284, the town of Hamelin in Germany became overrun by bands of rats, the likes of which had never been seen before or will be seen again. These were no ordinary rats. They were huge black creatures that boldly ran down the street in broad daylight. They swarmed in the houses so much that the poor townspeople could not put their hands or their feet down anywhere without touching one. When the townspeople dressed in the morning, they would find rats in their breeches and petticoats, in their pockets and in their boots. When they wanted something to eat, the people would find that the rats had eaten everything in the house. It was even worse at nighttime. When they laid down to sleep, the townspeople would find rats under their sheets. Once the lights were put out, the nibbling rats would set to work. Everywhere would be the noise of gnawing rats, chewing and crunching away on whatever they could find. In the ceilings, the floors, the walls, the cupboards, and the cellars, the raucous noise of rats rummaging and giving chase were so great that even a deaf man could not have had a full hour's rest. Wow, that's something. Try as they might, the townspeople of Hamelin could not get rid of the rats. Neither cats nor dogs, poisons nor traps, prayers nor candles could do anything about the plague. The more rats they killed, the more came. One Friday, in despair, the townspeople gathered outside the town hall and noisily demanded that the mayor and the town councilors do something about the rat problem. The town council assembled in the town hall to consider what they could do to combat the awful plague. The crowd outside was waiting impatiently for a resolution from the council when they noticed a strange-looking man walking into the square. He had an odd face, with a largely crooked nose, and piercing but mocking blue eyes. However, he had an easy smile on his lips. The man was wearing a large felt hat with a scarlet rooster's feather set in it, and was dressed in a long red and yellow jacket with a leather belt and green breeches. He was tall and thin and was carrying a wooden pipe. As he entered the town square, he was singing, "Who lives shall see, this is he, the rat catcher." When he stopped singing, the stranger asked the townspeople to send word to the town council and the mayor that, if they would make it worth his while, he would get rid of every single rat in the town before nightfall. On hearing this message, the town council and the mayor brought the strange piper before them to discuss his proposal. "Please, your honors," said the piper, "I am able to draw all creatures living under the sun after me by means of a secret charm. I've helped other towns by using this charm on all sorts of creatures that cause ill. People called me the Pied Piper." "He must be a sorcerer," exclaimed one man. "We must beware of him." "I am just a poor piper," replied the stranger. "I've used my pipe to free a town from a huge swarm of mosquitoes. Another town was plagued with a brood of huge bats that filled the sky each night. I can rid your town of its rat infestation if you will pay me a florin a head for each rat I kill." The council members and town citizens all gasped at this price. "A florin a head," exclaimed one councilor, "but that will come to thousands of florins." The mayor looked around the council room. It was filled with the people of the town, waiting to hear his decision. But it was also filled with rats, which crawled over the desks, across the floor, and around people's feet. The mayor shrugged his shoulders and said to the stranger, "A bargain. To work. We will pay you 1 florin a head, as you have requested." The piper announced he would start that very evening once the moon had risen. He told the townspeople that they should leave the streets free and content themselves with looking out their windows at what was passing, and that it would be an amazing spectacle. Then the piper left the town hall and the townspeople to their meeting. The townspeople began to mutter among themselves, "A florin a head, but this will cost us all a great deal of money." "Leave it to me," said the mayor with a nasty smile. The townspeople all nodded and laughed to each other, saying, "Leave it to the mayor." Towards 9 o'clock that night, the Pied Piper stepped into the town square. The townspeople were all inside, as instructed, watching through their windows. As the moon rose, the piper gave a small smile and then raised his pipe to his lips. His eyes twinkling, he began to play on his pipe. At first, he played 3 short, shrill notes over and over, but then, like a flame spreading from a small candle, the music grew and spread. It first grew into a slow, caressing sound, then it became more lively and urgent. Finally, it built into a booming, piercing sound that spread through all the houses, alleyways, cellars, attics, and secret places of the town. As the townspeople listened to the music, they heard another sound begin to grow. It was an urgent, rumbling noise. Then the townspeople realized it was the sound of the rats. All of a sudden, thousands of rats burst out into the streets and ran towards the piper. They flung themselves out from the cellars and the garrets, from under the furniture, and from every nook and cranny of every house and building in the town. They filled the streets like a torrent of water, falling over each other and tumbling their ways towards the town square and the piper. Soon the piper was surrounded by thousands of rats. None came too close to him, but they all sat listening to the music, their noses twitching and their tails cocked. Once the square was full, the piper turned around and, still playing music, made his way down the street towards the River Weser, which ran along the walls of the town. As he walked and played, the rats all followed him closely, transfixed by the music. When the piper arrived at the river, he stopped walking, but continued his piping. When the rats came to the river, they plunged into the whirling water and disappeared. For 3 hours, the piper played while rats flung themselves into the water and perished. Wow! At last, at midnight, the very last rat made its way to the river. It was a big old gray rat, the king of the band. "Is that all of you?" the piper said to the rat king. "That is all," replied the rat king. "How many of you are there?" asked the piper. "We are 999,999, replied the king. "Thanks, and go join them," said the piper, and the old rat jumped into the river and disappeared beneath the surface. When all the rats had gone, the townspeople ran into the street and joyfully celebrated. They rang the bells of the churches and sang and danced. Then they went to bed and, for the first time in many months, slept uninterrupted through the night. The next morning, the Pied Piper made his way to the town hall, where the town council and the mayor were waiting for him. A great number of townspeople had also come to see the proceedings. "Good morning, sirs," said the piper to the councilors. "All your rats took a jump in the river last night, and not one of them will come back, I guarantee. There were 999,999. At 1 florin a head, it is time to give me my payment." That was a lot of rats. Ew. The mayor leaned forward in his seat and nodded. "Very well. Let us see the rats' heads and we shall pay you." The piper did not expect this treachery. He paled angrily and his eyes flashed. "If you care to find the heads, then go and look in the river," he exclaimed. "That was not the nature of our agreement, and you know it." "It is you who is not holding to our agreement," replied the mayor, and he laughed cruelly. The town council and the townspeople laughed along with him at the piper's misfortune. "You have been of use to us," said the mayor. "Even though you won't give us the proof we need, we will not let you go empty-handed." He offered the piper 50 pieces of copper for his trouble. "Keep your copper," replied the piper. "Those who cheat me will find that I can use my pipe in other ways." "Bah! Do you think we care what a crooked piper can do?" laughed the mayor, and the townspeople jeered along with him. "Do your worst. We're not scared of you." The piper pulled his hat over his eyes and went into the street. The townspeople rubbed their hands together when they heard how they had avoided paying the piper and laughed at his misfortune. That's not very nice. The next day was Sunday, and all the adults of the town went off merrily to church, thinking at last they would be able to enjoy a Sunday lunch without the rats' interference. But they never suspected what terrible thing awaited them when they returned home. All the children of the town had disappeared. Soon a terrible cry went up in the town. "Our children! Where are our poor children?" was the lament heard in every street. Then through the east gate of the town came one small boy. He was lame and hobbled along, leaning on a crutch. This is what the little lame boy told them. While all the parents were off at church, the children heard a wonderful music sounding. At first it sounded like 3 short, sweet notes, and then it built up into a wonderful merry tune. All the children of the town ran out into the streets. their small feet pattering and their hands clapping in joy. They danced and skipped to the town square, where they found the piper playing his pipe. Then the piper began to walk and the children followed, dancing and singing. Their hearts filled with delight. They made their way to the foot of the mountain near the town. As they approached, a wondrous portal opened wide in the side of the mountain. A great golden light shone out from the door. The piper made his way in and the children followed. When all were inside, the great door shut fast behind them. All save the little lame boy, who could not keep up with the dance and lagged behind. The lame boy was terribly sad he'd been left behind and told the townspeople of the amazing sights the piper told the children they would see. He had promised the children a land of magic creatures, amazing fruits, and bright birds. The parents ran to the mountain and searched for the door, but were unable to find it. They returned desolate to the town, angry with the mayor and with themselves for cheating the piper out of what they had promised him. As the years passed, the townspeople of Hamelin became known for their kindness to strangers and their fairness to merchants and traders who passed through. The children were never seen again, although many years later, the people heard stories of a place in a country called Transylvania where the people only spoke German but did not know how they came to be there. It was always thought, while hard to believe, these people must be the descendants of the children of Hamelin. For surely, there are more difficult things in the world to believe than that. Wow. The end. That was a crazy story. All them rats and the piper came and played music and the rats jumped into the river. And then the mayor didn't want to pay and the piper got mad and took their kids into the mountain and wow. It's crazy. Guess it all worked out in the end, huh? Alright, well thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. See ya!